Well, hi everybody, I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop, and I am back, welcoming you back to another video. I had a hard time trying to think of what today's title would be because this is just going to be another one of those videos that's all over the place. And you're just going to have to stay tuned to find out what happens. Now, I am going to start by saying thank you to 6 people who sent just some wonderful things. Now actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can actually only mention 5. One person desires to remain anonymous. You know who you are. I've already sent you a thank you email. And you will remain anonymous, 6th person. But thank you so much. Everything that you sent was useful, thoughtful, and I appreciate it. Well, let's see what's what. Maryland in, I guess it's Wisconsin, sent me a mug and a plate. Now this is the 3rd one that's been sent to me. So I've never actually found one out in public. This is the Old Curiosity Shop, as you can see. Yes, and these are made in the United States. And I'll let you see let's see, this is the Old Curiosity Shop Underglaze made in USA, and I can't remember who made it. It's not marked on the back. I'll have to go and look that up again sometime. But there it is, the Old Curiosity Shop. And this is the 3rd one that's been sent to me. So one more, and I have enough for a 4-person dinner party. So thank you. Marilyn also sent this really cool mug. She said this was the closest to cream and green she could get. Now it's not marked on the bottom, but it has either a glass bake or a federal feel to it. And it says cafe, coffee, carafe. I guess it's the word coffee, kawa. Kawawawa. I guess it's just coffee in different languages. I love it. Hope you can see it. I like the color green because it's sort of a transition green. It's not that avocado green of the 70s. It's not the Depression green, but it's a pretty color green, and I really like this. You see the word coffee all over it? I will be using that, Maryland, thank you, in Wisconsin. Now, to go along with the coffee, if you've been watching me, you know I usually take a coffee break. I have this kind of, not really crash and burn, but between the hours of 3:30, 4:30, I just go, ugh. And so I usually have a cup of coffee and a ginger snap, and I just sort of relax a little bit. Sometimes I don't take a nap. But as my father used to say, I'm resting my eyes. Yeah, you're taking a nap. Anyway, I always eat a ginger snap, and I got a wonderful box of ginger snaps from Evelyn in Arkansas. And this says, these are Susan's Snaps, the ultimate gourmet ginger snap, a perfect blend of spices topped in sparkling sugar crystals. Now I took them out of here because I opened them and I wanted to put them in something that would keep them fresh. Look at that. This was really thoughtful, and they are really good. They have this, just like it says, this crystallized sugar on the top. Garland in Washington State, all the way on the other side of this vast country, sent me 2 pieces of glass and a very nice note. A very pretty piece of wedgewood in the shape of I always get this wrong. Is that a club or a spade? We didn't really play playing cards in my house growing up, so I always get that confused. But it's a spade or a club, and that's an ashtray, but it's in the Jasperware wedgewood. It says on the back, made in, of course, England, as we would expect, wedgewood. That's really nice, and so is this. It's another piece of carnival glass, and this pattern is called Peacock. Fenton made a peacock pattern, and so did Northwood. I'm getting a Northwood feel out of this rather than Fenton, but the patterns are almost identical. It looks like Not the colors of the peacock, but the pattern of the peacock tail, I guess. Anyway, that's what it's called. And I think it's probably Northwood rather than Fenton. Really nice piece of carnival glass. It's really pretty, and it's a pattern that I don't have and haven't actually been able to pick up anywhere in public. So Garland, I appreciate that as well. And then Sharon in Chicago sent me the old Curiosity Shop. Now, this is just the name of the album put out by RCA Victor in the late 50s. And this actually has, it's called the Old Curiosity Shop because the recordings on this are all re-released old recordings that were popular in decades prior, such as most of these recordings are from the 20s and even earlier. So Dreams of Long Ago by Enrico Caruso, recorded in 1912. I'm not going to read all these. Casey at the Bat, 1926. I'm the Last of the Red Hot Mamas. Sophie Tucker, 1928. Sophie Tucker, also sometimes referred to as that vulgar woman. Some of her 78s were a little meh. I'll play you some. I can't really play this now because of copyright, but this is nice. The record is in there too. This is an LP, right? And I'm not able to do it at the moment, but I have plans, eventually you'll see, to have an actual shelf or shelves on which I will keep all of my old Curiosity Shop memorabilia and things like this that have been sent to me. So that's really neat, and I appreciate that. Sharon in Chicago. Rob and Cheryl, I think you guys are in Florida. I might have that wrong. You sent me a really nice note, and it's sort of a funny story about a family member of yours who had an obsession with the Lillian Vernon catalog. And these are going to be perfect for next Christmas. Cut. These are going to be perfect for next Halloween. This great big box full of, you got it, black and orange candles. And hey, if you didn't get a chance to see my Halloween video where I decorated, you might want to go back and take a look at that. But I'm going to hold on to these candles until then. They're in really good shape and they're going to be excellent. So just so nice to have received all of these things. It's made it really special during this lockdown. I think we got everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now we're going to continue this video. And one of the things I'm going to do next is we're going to go over to the phonograph and we're going to try to solve a mystery. Now, 2 or 3 videos back, I did a video on, is it a phonograph, a Victrola, a talking machine, or a graphophone? And talked a little bit about, just a little bit about wind-up phonographs. So a subscriber wrote in a comment and said, that is a gorgeous phonograph, but the grill is upside down. Is it? Maybe, maybe not. Let's go take a look. Well, here I am back in the corner with the old phonograph, and in case you didn't see my video a couple of days ago, this is a 1919 Silvertone phonograph, marketed and sold by the Sears and Roebuck Company. Now, after I posted that video, I got a message from a subscriber or a viewer who said, I think your grill is upside down. Well, my grill, not my teeth, but the fretwork here, the grill which covers the internal wooden horn. And I wrote back to him and I said, no, it can't possibly be upside down because you can't physically insert this incorrectly because of the way it attaches to the frame. Now let me show you how it attaches to the frame. First of all, why would you want to take this grill off anyway? Well, there's nothing inside except a wooden horn, and a wooden acoustic horn, which exponentially increases the volume acoustically because it's connected to the tone arm right up here. Well, you do want to take this off because there is a piece of grill cloth on the front, and that grill cloth can get ripped, stained, torn, and so you want to be able to replace that grill cloth if you need to, and if this is permanent, you could never do that. So I've removed the grill, and I want to show you how it's not possible for somebody like me to accidentally stick it in there upside down, and that's because there are two little holes that are drilled into the frame. That's done at the factory. There are also, what you can't see, two pieces of hardware that are also attached to the top of the frame, and I'll show you how the grill fits in. Now, this isn't really what you would call mortise and tenon, but down here at the bottom of the grill are these little tiny pegs. We see them. There's one and two. Hey, peg. All right, those pegs fit down into these little holes. And again, mortise and tenon is what's usually referred to in furniture manufacturing, but I'm not going to go so far as to call this mortise and tenon. I just said that. And at the top, there are these two pieces of brass. And maybe you can see that there is sort of a recessed area, an indentation. And then up underneath here are these tiny little brass balls, and they're held in place. You can't tell or see it, but it's spring-loaded. They're inside of a frame. There's a spring on top of them to give them tension. So when you snap this in place, those little balls slide onto this brass piece and they spring into place. And you can see that this hasn't been altered by anybody. No one has. If it had been, we would clearly be able to see that. So the little pegs fit down into the holes, and then it just snaps in place like that. Okay, now let's pull the grill off and take a closer look at it. Let's take a closer look at the grill. This is not hand carved. This is carved in the factory. This is not. This is pressed wood. So this is all done mechanically. It is an absolutely beautiful grill. And you might say, well, you know what? Maybe it is upside down. When we look at it, these floral swags would look a whole lot better if they were hanging that way as opposed to that way. So you say, well, okay, the guy in the factory just got it wrong. They made a mistake. When they were putting the hardware on this grill, they just got it messed up. Well, see, it's done on an assembly line in a factory, and they made thousands of these. So is it possible that one of them could have been accidentally turned upside down? I suppose it is possible. But let's dig a little deeper. I'm going to put this back in place. We're going to open up the We're going to open up the record storage cabinet below and pull out a fascinating little card that's actually been living inside of this machine for 101 years. Okay, so let me show you close up. This is the original quality control card tag that came with the machine, and we can see it says Silvertone. And the date of manufacture is right here. That's September of 1919. This machine is 101 years old. Now the finish is mahogany, right? The motor is SALL. That's a Chicago company that actually made the motors. That's not really important right now. The trimmer, he has given his number, or his initials rather. And then we can see it was inspected, and the inspector has signed his name, and the person who packed it, the packer, has put their number on there, 777. We can also see that this, of course, is the model the model 11. You can see this. These are all the different models. This would be the cheapest. This would be the most expensive. The model 25. The Junior would be the cheapest. This model here, the model 11, is sort of a mid-range model. in terms of how expensive it was when it was new. Now, what's interesting about this card is, well, let me read what it says on the back. Important. You see that in big letters. It's very important. This card is attached at the factory. Its purpose is to make sure that the instrument reaches you in perfect condition. The information on the other side of this card tells us who is responsible if anything is wrong. Look out. Packer number 717. If you don't find everything as it should be, we want to know it. And we shall appreciate it if you will write us returning this card with your letter. This will enable us to take the steps to prevent the mistake in the future. Sears and Roebuck Company, Dallas, Chicago, and Seattle. So if anything was wrong with this machine, you were supposed to pop this into the mail back in 1919. And then, let's see, Trimmer WB or Packer 717 would get called on the carpet. Okay, let's go back to this machine. Now, the subscriber who wrote in and said, I think your grill is upside down, the subscriber who said, I think your grill is upside down, sent me an old advertisement from 1918, 1920, and there was a drawing of this machine, and the grill is turned in the opposite direction from what we see here. Well, maybe the artist got it wrong. Okay. So I kept digging around, and I was able to find photographs, not advertisements, but actual photographs of the Model 11 with the grill in the same position as we see it here. Now, I would have to say that as far as in terms of the design of this grill, I don't think it really makes a difference which way it is because it's just so ornate. But I would probably agree with the subscriber that when this was designed, my guess would be that the original designers of this grill had intended it to appear this way. But I don't think it was a mistake or an accident that it actually was shipped out, left the factory floor like this. Why? Well, because we know this is the way the hardware was put originally on this piece. So we have to say that the guy on the floor, who would have been making hundreds of these a week, thousands of these machines were made. Is it possible that one of them could have just accidentally gotten flipped upside down? Well, I suppose so, but you wouldn't think that that would be very likely, considering the guys on the floor making these literally made thousands of these. But then we also know that there was quality control. So if this was a mistake, then the guy on the floor got it wrong, and the inspector got it wrong as well. Now, I would point out that this was made by the Pooley Furniture Company. If you remember in the last video, the very first Victor talking machines, Victrolas with internal horns, were actually made here in Philadelphia by the Philadelphia Furniture Company, the Pooley Furniture Company, P-O-O-L-E-Y. They were a very high-quality furniture company. This isn't just somebody, some amateur cabinet maker fiddling around in his basement. This is a top-quality furniture company. And this happens to be an extremely high-quality cabinet. You really can't see the details of it, but it is very, very well made. And there were lots of very, very inexpensive, sort of very cheaply made machines that were produced during the early days of the phonograph industry because there was a lot of money to be made and everybody was jumping on the bandwagon. This was an expensive phonograph when it was made. This phonograph cost over $150 when it was sold in 1919. So, what do I actually end up thinking? Well, my final thoughts are as follows. This machine obviously left the factory floor exactly as we see it now with the grill in this direction. It also passed inspection with the grill in this direction. And I think that it's very possible that it didn't really matter to the guys on the floor. There might have been a disconnect between the art department, those who actually designed the phonograph, and the gentlemen who were installing it and then inspecting it. And I say that because if this were the only machine with a quote-unquote upside-down grill, you would say, well, it was a mistake and those two people fouled up. But I've been able to find at least 2 photographs of the Model 11 with the grill exactly as we see it here. Not this particular machine that I own, but 2 others that are out there in the wild, and the grill is in this position. So, are we... Okay, I'm breaking in here, and it's voiceover time. Now, the advertisement that you're looking at is an original advertisement. This one from the mid-1920s, 1923 probably. And we see an example of the Silvertone Model 9, which is not the model that I have. You can see a completely different grille. And we can see here the idyllic scene of the family, obviously with grandparents and grandchildren, all gathered together in their front parlor, dancing and enjoying the music of the Silvertone phonograph. Let Silvertone entertain you. That particular model was only $46. Now, okay, here's the original or an original advertisement that was sent to me by the gentleman who made the comment. We can see that the phonograph that I have, the Model 11, is the one that you see all the way on the right with the original price of $145. $5 down, yes, that's $5 a month. And you can clearly see, if you look at the grill, it is in the opposite direction of the way it appears on my machine. If you look in the middle, those swags are hanging down, swagging downward rather than being flipped in the opposite direction. So we can see that the drawing in the advertisement appears this way. That's what led the subscriber to suggest that maybe the grill was upside down. Now let's go and look at some original phonographs. Okay, again, I apologize for the quality of the photographs. These are just how I was able to find them on the internet. So here's a Model 11, same as mine, and look at the grill. The swags are in the same direction as mine. So we can assume that this came off the factory floor just like this, with the swags in the same direction as on my machine. Now let's look at another one. Okay, once again, we see the same gold-plated hardware. If you look up top, this is the Model 11, same as mine. And once again, now ignore the horrible grill cloth. Someone has replaced the original grill cloth with a very inappropriate, it looks like a plaid type of pattern. So it's making it difficult to see the grill. But you can look and clearly see that that grill is the same in the same position as on the machine that I own, with the swags in the opposite direction of the advertisement. So I have found at least 2 phonographs with grills in place identical as my machine. So here is another theory, and this one I just happened to think of. You know what? It's possible that these came off of the assembly line. These models may be early examples of the Model 11. And perhaps they came off the assembly line, and who knows how many of them were produced with the grill in this position. It may be that eventually the mistake was caught. The inspectors were told, the guys on the factory floor were told, hey, flip the grill the other way, because you can also find examples of the Model 11 with the grill in the opposite direction, or the same direction as in the advertisements. Okay, so the only way we would be able to know is if we look at the serial numbers. I don't know that the Pulley Company and Sears and Roebuck kept those kinds of archives. I know with the Victor Company, it's very easy to look at the serial number. Victor kept very detailed records. We know exactly how many thousands of machines were made, and you can tell by the serial number if this was early on in the run, so to speak, or late in the manufacture of a particular model. I don't know that we can track Silvertone down to that extent. I haven't really attempted to do it, and I don't think I'm going to. My machine does have a serial number on the back of it, and it would be interesting to look at all of the machines with the grills in this direction. Perhaps they're all very low. They have very low serial numbers for the model 11, which would suggest that the mistake was caught and then changed in later models, and these were just never recalled. I mean, it's not really a big deal. It doesn't affect the playing of the machine or really the aesthetic of the machine, so that might be it. What do you think? Have you got a theory? Now, let's go back to the video and I'll wrap it all up. Are we ever really going to know? Probably not. To quote a famous lollipop-licking owl, the world may never know, and if you don't know who the lollipop-licking owl is, you're too young. So I want to thank the subscriber who wrote in with the question about the grill, because it really gave me a chance to dive into this and sort of think about how it wound up. So I really want to thank the subscriber for his comment about the grill on this old phonograph. I think the history is fascinating. Now I think it's time for a cup of coffee and a ginger snap. Let's go.